when it comes to dating, never let anyone make you feel like you aren't good enough. This is incredibly important because it's often rather easy to take rejection or more hurtful forms of it, like ghosting, super personally, and to then feel like you aren't good enough because of the way other people treat you. I mean, I'm speaking from experience here. Like, this happened to me so much when I was growing up. Even in my early 20s, it still occasionally would happen. And even now, sometimes those thoughts will creep up in the back of my mind, only now I've trained myself enough to catch them and say, what the hell? I don't need to let this woman make me feel this way because, one, I don't know whether or not she's even worth it, and two, she doesn't even know the real me enough to fully reject me as a person, the whole entirety of me. And it's so easy to fall into those trap mentalities, those trap ways of thinking where you play the victim and you get rejected or ghosted and you start feeling really horrible about yourself and thinking, was I not attractive enough? Was it something I said? Do I not have enough game? For all the gents out there, is there something I could have done to keep that person in my life? And quite often the answer is no, because if somebody rejects you like that, well, you guys just weren't meant to be together. And that's really the simplest way of looking at it. Try not to take it personally, because quite often rejection doesn't even have all that much to do with you. Because here's the thing, they don't fully know you. When someone rejects you, they don't know you. It's usually so early on in the process that you've maybe talked to them a few times, maybe gone on a few dates, and then they ghost you, since that's so freaking common nowadays. Very rarely will someone just tell you, hey, look, I'm not interested in you. It has nothing to do with you. It's me, blah, but very rarely does that happen nowadays. So quite often it is we just stop talking to each other and go our separate ways. But they don't know you when that happens. They don't, right? It's too early in the process. I mean, I would say at minimum you need to be dating someone for 6 months to have a decent idea of who they are. And even then, it probably takes upwards of a year or longer to get a really good idea of who someone is. And then you could be spending your whole life just learning little facets and tidbits about them and their personality that you didn't know before, learning about their history, their past, the things they're passionate about, and their goals and dreams, that sort of thing. It takes a while to really get to know someone. So when you get rejected early on in the process, those people don't know you. So you can't really take it that personal, because it doesn't even have all that much to do with you. Quite often it's their own hang-ups, or I've even found this to be the case. It can be because they're not ready for you. They're not ready for what you want. They're not emotionally available. That's pretty common nowadays too. So there are all sorts of things. But even if it does have to do with you, here's the thing. Don't let it affect you. Don't make it, or don't allow it to make you start having those thoughts where you doubt yourself and you think you aren't good enough and you think you aren't attractive enough and that you didn't say the right lines and that all those sorts of unhelpful ways of thinking. Try to curb that from happening, because when someone rejects you, all that means is that there wasn't a future with them. Like, it has a lot to do with them and not just you. It's a 50-50, well, sometimes it's 50-50, but there will occasionally be more one person than the other, of course, will steer it in that direction. But my whole point here is they don't want you. When someone rejects you, they don't want you. Focus on that. Don't even start thinking about, oh, what could I have done differently? No. This person is saying that they don't want you. That's significant. Remember, in prior videos, I often say focus on choosing people who also choose you. That's really important. If someone rejects you or ghosts you, guess what? They stop choosing you. So pay attention to that. Don't listen to any of your self-defeating thoughts about, oh, I'm not good enough. No. Screw that. This person decided not to choose you. Just focus on that and say, okay, well, they don't need a place in my life then, because I'm going to continue from here on out only focusing on choosing people who also choose me. And as soon as someone stops choosing me, they're out of my life because they've clearly showed that they don't care about me enough to include me in their life. That's what you should focus on. Don't take it personally. Just say, okay, this person is not a good fit for being included in my life. That's the way you should think about rejection and ghosting, especially ghosting. I mean, I've been through some really hurtful experiences with ghosting where you're creating awesome experiences with a woman, going on great dates, things are going really well, you're beginning to think, hey, maybe this could end up becoming a bit more serious, and then they stood me, well, in this one case, this woman stood me up and ghosted me, and it was very hurtful. And at first, yeah, it was difficult to not take it personally and think about, what did I do wrong? Was it the way I acted? Was I too needy? Was it this, that, and the other? There was actually one time where I ended up talking to a close female friend of mine for a while, trying to ask him, like, am I too needy? Like, what was going on? I feel like I may have been, but I don't know. You know me really well. Am I needy? Let me know. And my female friend was saying that definitely wasn't the case, and that just had more to do with the other woman. And that's quite often the reality of things, but we don't think in that way because we see everything from our own perspective, right? So we're quite often going to analyze things in a way that has to do with us, and we won't really think so much about the other person's perspective. But if they stop choosing you, that's all you should focus on. That at some point down the road, that person stopped caring about you enough, or they decide they didn't want to include you in their life, or they decide they weren't ready to keep you around, whatever reason it may be. Even if they're not ready, that's still significant. Even if potentially in the future there could have been a situation with you and them, just stop giving them your time and energy if they're not ready for you. Maybe they'll come around later on in the future if they truly like you enough. Who knows? But don't bank on it. Don't start fantasizing about a future with them where they come back into your life. None of that crap. Just focus on choosing people who also choose you. Do not take it personally, and do not start beating yourself up. It can be difficult, but just find ways to work yourself up in your own mind, to have your own back, to tell yourself that you are good enough, that this one person rejecting you doesn't speak for all of womankind or mankind. It doesn't mean that all women are going to reject you because one woman rejected you, or that all men are going to reject you just because one man rejected you. Don't think in that way, because it's not true. It isn't. They're just one person out of a sea of millions of others. So, yeah. In a way, this video is almost for like the younger version of me, because God, could I have used it? Oh man, I took everything personally because I just have always had a habit of kind of overanalyzing things, overthinking things, and I would do that to Helen back when it came to dating, because I was always trying to figure out what I could do to make myself better, to attract women, and I thought that it always fell on me and that I could always do something different to keep a woman in my life. But that's just not always true. You'll come across people who just won't be able to appreciate you for whatever reason. Even if you bring more to the table than any other human being on planet Earth, you will always be able to find people who just won't be able to see that. They won't be able to see your value, your worth. And when I say that, I'm not talking about your financial worth, so don't interpret it in that way. I'm talking about personality and the entire package. So no, it's not just financial value. That's one aspect. Because, I mean, we've all met rich people who have no personality whatsoever. That will only help them attract gold diggers and nothing else. But, yeah, so just make sure you find ways to be aware of those unhelpful thought patterns, those thought habits where you start trashing yourself and beating yourself up when you get rejected or ghosted. Just notice when those thoughts arise within you and start rejecting them, telling them to F off. I mean, that's what I do, and it works pretty well. But otherwise, just find ways to get your mind off of the way things turned out with that person. Go to the gym and work out more, read more books, work on yourself, get involved in your job, and aim to work so hard that you get a promotion. Just do something that gives your life more purpose, because you don't want to make your purpose another human being. That's stupid. So make sure you do things to just work on building yourself back up, and you'll get to a point where you'll be able to forget that person, or maybe even you'll look back fondly on the time you had together, and you'll be glad that they left your life because it allowed you to grow so much as a result of it. So above all, just find ways to not take rejection and ghosting personally, and do not beat yourself up over it. It's not worth it. That person isn't worth you having those thoughts over. They aren't, because if they were, they would still be in your life. There you go. Anyway, I truly hope that this video helped you. If you enjoy content like this, and be sure to subscribe. Otherwise, like the video. That's the easiest way you can help me out. And let me know your thoughts on this subject in the comment section below. And share the video to anyone who would benefit from it. Anyone who just got rejected or ghosted, because sometimes people could really use it, because those are not fun experiences to go through. I mean, I know that all too well. But anyway, remember guys, we're all on this journey together. So the most important thing is that you just keep moving forward, just keep going, keep finding ways to improve your life, and to stop having those thoughts where you beat yourself up. It's just that person is not worth it. So just keep going. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci.